Yes, research data management is an emerging field. It doesn't exactly mean that data was not there. Data was always there. People use data from time immemorial for everything. Some data was recorded, some data was thrown away, some data was used and forgotten, and this was going on. So, in an organized way, thinking of data management and including it in a scientific cycle is recent. But in world over, I am part of some initiatives, and there are definite initiatives and projects which have come up with studying the data cycle, studying activities, projects, and coming out with standards, standard workflow, everything for data, and I am part of this. In India, sadly, like Professor Prasad was trying to explain, we do use terminology like smart cities, where data should play a major role, where various stakeholders should come together and realize the dream of the fruitful data management. But this is unfortunately not happening at the thought process level, at the policy making level, and also at the handshake level of different professions, I can say. But anyway, it's better that we, library science community, realize much in advance that this is going to come to our door, knocking at our doors. If not today, tomorrow, it's going to come. This is for sure. Because if our users, like for example, we and even in Kerala, I know that many journals are being published using, say, OJS platform. The online journals are being published. Some are open, some are not, but they're being published. Tomorrow, if somebody says that it is not enough to publish your paper only, you must provide us the data set also based on what you're publishing. Okay? So your institute or your funding agency or whatever, your state government or anything, made that decision. Who is going to publish it again? The library people are going to help it. We know how to publish the paper. Do you know how to publish the data along with it? Policy is made. Our government loves to go to the mic and make announcement. It made also announcement. Okay, as a nice government circular also came. Good. Now librarians is supposed to get up and dance to this tune. The tune is being already played. Librarian is supposed to get up and gear up and somehow publish the paper plus the data. And this is not easily managed. We are not. Of course, there are now tools and architectures to do this. But what I say is this is like something like a top-down approach. Somebody makes the policies and libraries are supposed to follow suit. So in this background, I think it's really significant that this morning I was at St. Thomas College addressing a few people from computer sciences, and then this afternoon I'm here at Christ, and I really congratulate Trishul for putting the thoughts together and bringing people to think together what might come tomorrow and what are the components and what we need to do. So in that regard, institutional research data management method is very nascent, but as data becomes prevalent, libraries will be expected to give services based on data, and institutions will be expected to do institutional research data management within the institute. And nowadays, which till now is sort of data is tied up to research community, mostly the research community that produces the data within the lab, and mostly with the intention of producing a project report or publication or whatever. And it's just within that community, produced, utilized, maybe reused to a certain extent, I do not know, because it's all within the community, and then we do not know what happens to the data. That's the cycle that is normally being produced. So data, no, I think Dr. Sadashivan was in touch with Sajita and saying that, or one of the resource persons, saying that what has library to do with this, and I agree also, because research data by definition is with the research community that produces. It's collected, they play around with this, they test it, and they do it. And I do think that the major stakeholder of research data is the research community that produces it and that consumes it. Having said that, we have to take the entire gamut of what is this research data management and what it entails. Like I just said, if we said by definition, research data is data that is there in a computer, That means every PC, every computer, every laptop is a data repository. But is it? It's not. Okay, there is data, but only when we bring it in a form that can be utilized, in a form that can be assimilated by communities, we call it as something, a usable artifact. And data being by nature what it is, we also have to facilitate its reuse to enhance its value. So this, I would like to work with this kind of working definition and then build the communities which are responsible for making research reusable as the entire community that is going to contribute to what is called as IRDM, or Institutional Research Data Management. And also it's important to note that for most part we deal with digital data, but we also have to take into account that data might be in the analog form also and utilized by various communities for their purposes. So there are various types within research data. It could be mostly instrument produced, experimental observations, or like the repositories, you can have image, video, text documents, spreadsheets. Most of the social science research data we know are survey based quantitative data. They could be interview transcripts, there could be simulation data, various types, slides, artifacts, the entire gamut of research data might exist, and it might find its way into libraries tomorrow to be curated by libraries. So we have to be aware that there could be various and different types of research data that we would be expected to handle. So coming to the RDM cycle, the research data management cycle, like I said, it's very important to note that there are different stakeholders. There are the funders, there are managers, decision makers, of course, researchers, then data managers or librarians, and the end users. So any RDM program should be an inclusive kind of a policy which includes all these communities, and the planning and the support should be such that we create what is today called as a data stewardship and raise awareness and train. Like Professor Prasad said, we have been involved, it's very early days, we worked a lot with digital repositories from 2001, 2002 onwards, right up to 2016-17. We work in digital repositories, but of late, because data has made its mark, and because data will be the next knock on our doors, we started working with data and tried and tested a few tools, and we have hosted two international training programs on data, particularly core data, training some professionals from Southeast Asia. So what are the steps involved? There is, of course, a very important and formal step in research data management, and that is called DMP, data management. Okay. So at least in Europe now, where funding is very active for data projects, the very first step asked is, what is your DMP? And the DMP is the one which gets evaluated, and if that has passed, then only you get the project, and then you can do the research activity. So I was recently on the UN panel of evaluation for worldwide agricultural data managing projects. So they're really worldwide, from starting from Philippines right up to India, and they are funded through the UN partially, and other international funding agencies. They started in 2013, and their first phase ended in 2017, extended to 18, and second phase has to start. So our evaluation committee was to look at how successful have they been and give a report on the second phase of funding. So what we had to evaluate is, all we had is the DMP, the data management plan that they had submitted in 2013 when they had put their proposal topics on the fund. That is that important that they have envisaged in 2013 what they want to achieve till 17, and then now they are going for that. This is the importance of having a kind of a foresight into what you want to do with your data, how you want to deal with it, and where you want to reach, like in 4 years' time, what are the services you plan to do. And it is not easy. Having said all this, when I examined that project, I saw that they had every good intention, they did all good work, but then data is being so dynamic over 4 years that it has been a big challenge for the project to keep up with all the changes, with all the formats, with all the accelerated data sets that were produced, even in one domain, which is agriculture. And there are various labs under agriculture. One like in Philippines deals only with rice data. One deals with wheat germ data. One deals with soil data. Everything is specialized. And even within specialized domain where very highly technical staff was working, the formats have been such a big challenge. And so this was one of the things that we realized, and then said that no, the DMP should formally include steps of creating data, documenting data, of creating the use and reuse patterns for that, and also workflows for sharing and creating. So this is the model that is. So coming to the library, this is one of the things that I took from Lewis and partners, that what is the role of libraries and how we could help in the whole pyramid of data management. So you can see that we have to like work in steps, and right at the bottom where we start off with the data sets, we have to develop our library work, our own workforce to handle it, basically. So like we did, like I said, I really appreciate our community. Whatever changes have been there, whatever technical changes have been there, we've coped up with it because we have no choice. Our user gets to know using Google, traveling abroad, or getting his his or her foreign research scholars back in their lab. There is this happening in Korea, there is this happening in America, there is something happening in Europe. We have to do this. That's it. And then libraries have to start getting that. So we have to start building the necessary capacity towards supporting the artificial. There are, of course, I have often on mentioned in this talk, there are various stakeholders. The first would be the funding, from wherever the funding comes for the research itself, which produces the data. And this often may be in the form of government or international funding or whatever that shape takes. So the second stakeholder is the university or the institution itself. So what is their policy level decisions regarding data? What are the data sets that they think they will produce? What will be the policy on the data they want to talk about, open data or closed data, or what part of it will be open, when it will be open. Such policy decisions are with the institute and planning out the entire infrastructure for facilitating data access. Then the actual researchers who sit and produce the data, curate it, or use it and reuse it. And there is another quadrant, which is the fourth quadrant, which is most important for us at least, which is the research support units, where comes in the role of the library. So it's not like we are producing data, it's not like consuming data, we are just providing the necessary support in the whole infrastructure, in the whole ecosystem. We provide research support to the entire cycle. So the brand new way again about handling data is called, in the international circles, it's called creating a data stewardship. So like I said, putting data on a computer is not a data repository. It does not result in a data service. You have to have like data stewards, and for that we have to create the necessary planning, the necessary infrastructure, but the support layer is what is the backbone of the whole thing, where the libraries come into picture. So academic libraries, like Professor Prasad was saying, I would also like to go back to the question about Google, which Dr. Hanifa correctly pointed out. Whether we like it or not, if we have to search out something, we use Google, right? It's become a natural thing. So I always joke on Google that I have a favorite joke. We go to Google, we type something, and then it returns 1 lakh, or if I'm lucky 1 lakh returns, if I'm unlucky 5 lakh returns. It will just give. So I compare this Google with our librarian, the reference librarian. He's sitting at his desk in his library, and you go to him and ask some question like you are going to ask Google. So this reference librarian can do two things. He can completely ignore you and get up and go away, okay, which is normal. Or he can say, okay, come, I will accompany you, I will come with you on show. You are pretty impressed, right? Which librarian would get up from his chair and say that I'll come and help you? This is pretty impressive. And then he walks with you 4 steps or 5 steps or something, and then he says, there are my stack room, that is where we store, go and find the information. Now, how much will you appreciate that he got up from his chair? He showed you the stack room, which direction it is. Go ahead. That's what Google is doing, no? It is throwing at you 2 lakh retrieval, go and find it. It is throwing the internet back at you. That is the reference library. So Google's approach is that. But Google is a company. It is set up, it is spending billions only for this. Search is their main staple, right? It's their staple. And why we are not, why we are unhappy with it? There must be a reason. It is their staple. That's why they have set up that companies' bread and butter is about search, right? So why? So that question comes to semantics, driving semantics. Driving semantics is a very, very desirable thing, and we drove semantics, but we drove semantics within the boundaries of libraries, physical libraries. We know our collection, we know our users. These are two things that we need to know when we need to drive semantics, and we know it. We were trained in schools of libraries, we are trained, we have work experience working in libraries using the systems that we do, and we create the semantics. Which is this environment, which is not easy but achievable, and we achieved this over the years using whatever our theoretical, our practical, our tools, whatever we had at our disposal. Can we now even compare this to what Google is indexing? Can we even start comparing this to what Google wants to do? We cannot, because the scale of things is completely different. The scale of things in front of Google, the scale of things in front of physical libraries is different, but the concept is the same. So what we can do, this is the question, what we can do is lend library science knowledge, of harnessing knowledge, of representation, of building scientific tools to find how we can lend from this to something called web-based retrieval. So this has been part of our work, which when we work with the European Commission's Living Knowledge project. So this is where I think the expertise from library science can lend itself. It's not that tomorrow morning I'll improve Google. It's a huge problem, but it's an interesting problem that we have in front of us. I would briefly, I don't want to take all the time of my other colleagues who want to talk. I would briefly only highlight that there is an alliance called the Research Data Alliance, which is a worldwide alliance for and a voluntary alliance for sharing data. It was initially started by and supported by USNSF, the European Commission, and the Government of Australia, but several other governments have joined, so it's a truly worldwide organization for all things data. There are right now about what RDA does. I am on the technical advisory board of this RDA, and we have about 90 groups now. It does all its work through what is called as working group and interest groups. The working group and interest groups can be in any domain, or it can be a community that can come together. Since it's a completely voluntary organization, communities are representative of communities are free to talk to each other and form a group around an idea that they have and propose to RDA that they want to work as a working group or an interest group, and then we evaluate them and then we allow them to work. So we have several groups working in domain-based groups like agriculture, biodiversity, chemistry, geospatial. These are all groups, and we have several working groups also. We have some, like I said, community-based, like we have some legal information working group, or we have early career and engagement for young people to come and get engaged with RDA activities. We have something in ethics and social aspects of data IT and such working groups. So I think it will be interesting for you to have a look at RDA. The URL for individual membership is absolutely free, and I would encourage you to check it out, and then just go to the URL and register yourself if you are interested, and browse through the entire number of working groups and interest groups that you might be interested in. Basically, the RDA's guiding principles are openness, working on consensus of community-driven consensus, uh, having a balance and harmonization of whatever is already present. It's completely not for profit organization. So I thought it is relevant to mention this in the context of this panel. So thanks very much.